Good morning, Rebecca Vigus, the writer whisperer here from a sunny South Central Kentucky. I think we're supposed to reach 82 today. So, much better than last week when it was really cold. I do have my tea. I hope you'll join me in yours. Today we're going to talk about names. Your name, my name, names. Those are the important ones. There's no formula for picking a character name, which is probably backwards to you, but um, the back of the book says every town has its secrets. In the small town of Oak Grove, the local librarian is murdered. No one can figure out who would want to harm the librarian and why. Chief of Police Buck Wise finds himself engulfed in the secrets of his hometown, the mob, and state senators. Can he discover why Miss Emily was murdered and who did it? Okay, Buck Wise. I have no idea where that name came from. It just did. Miss Emily was Miss Emily Meeks, Meeks. Why? Because she's a librarian. She's a very meek person. Um, she's not flamboyant. She's rather salt of the earth. And in it, you get insights into who Miss Emily was and why she was called Miss Emily and not Miss Meeks. And it just worked. It absolutely just worked. Out of the flames. Can an arsonist be plaguing Ridgecliff? Can the arsonist plaguing Ridgecliff be stopped before the death toll rises? A rash of arsons plaguing Ridgecliff when the homestead, a low rent apartment building, burns to the ground, a gruesome discovery is made. The bodies of an elderly woman and an undercover cop are found, putting arson investigator Jake Robbins and detective Rachel Adams on the case. Who is behind the arson and why are they burning only old buildings? The key to unlocking the mystery rests with a 6-year-old girl. Will they be able to keep her safe and solve the case before the arsonist gets away? Okay. Yeah. And this one is a first edition. No, it's a second edition. Secrets is a second edition under Open Window. When I was with that publishing company, it does not look like that anymore. When you see Lilac Publishing, it looks totally different. Why their names? I have no idea. They just happen to be names I used. Target of Vengeance. A tragic accident and the loss of her family brings Maggie Parsons back to her hometown as its new elements happen. At the school and at home, vandalism, missing children, strange telephone calls, and it all appears to center around her old classmates. Now, Sheriff Norton must find out what is happening in his hometown before another target of vengeance is selected. Who will be the next victim in the killer's game of murder? Okay, that one also is a Lilac Publishing, second edition. River's Edge Although under this title, it is a first edition, it is a second edition under Open Window. Um, Target of Vengeance was a Lilac Publishing. Detective Sergeant Macy McVannell and her partner, Detective Tom Maxwell, it's up to them to figure things. Dig deeper into the murder of Mrs. Appleton's son. They start running into a problem. Their witnesses keep turning up dead. Nobody is safe, not even the captain. Forced into hiding, McVannell and Maxwell must apprehend the killer while trying to survive the hidden mysteries of River's Edge. Okay, this one, there's a backstory to it. I was looking for names for a female detective. Okay, Cassidy, um, as a first name has been taken several times. McAllister as a last name has been taken several times. And I don't remember if it was my daughter or granddaughter who came up with Macy. And I was bouncing around ideas with my daughter, and I said, "What if I use McVannell?" And she said, "Mom, that's perfect." So I did the book, had it edited, sent it in. It was done. Originally, it was called um, Cold Case, Let Sleeping Dogs Lie. This is the original title. We changed it when I first came out with it. When I came out with a second edition, we went back to the original title. McVannell was my grandmother's maiden name on my mom's side. And I gave mom the book to read because I always gave mom a copy of my books, since she had supported my foolish desire to write for years, and told me if I wanted to write. So I gave her a copy. And when I next saw her, she said, "Don't you think you should have asked first?" And I looked at her and I said, "No, I'm 1/4 McVannell." So that's how Macy came to be. She was named for the grandmother I never knew because she died when my mother was 10. Okay, Macy Book 2, Crossing the Line. This is an award-winning book, Mystery Book of the Year for 2013. And it says, "Crossing the line, reality is blurred when the lines of innocence are crossed." Taken from today's headlines comes the new Macy McVannell mystery. When an attempted suicide brings Detective Macy McVannell and her partner, Detective Tom Maxwell, to the steps of the local high school, it opens up a case that makes them question all they know about the teenage population. Though bullying stands at its core, the investigation uncovers secrets too shocking to fathom and a threat so widespread it threatens every student at the school. Will the detectives uncover the truth and expose those responsible before someone else is hurt? Can they stop the predator from once again crossing the line? This book deals with bullying. Okay. It takes bullying to the point where people are now doing things that are illegal to bully people. And you have your same cast of characters. You have Detective Sergeant McVannell and you have Tom Maxwell, her partner. Okay. You have also picked up Eli Patterson from the first book, who is captain in the state police force. So we have built Macy a little family. We introduced them and they take some of the drama out of it. This book, in writing this book, I had to step away because I got so angry with the character Chelsea Patton. I wanted to strangle her because she's so full of herself and she's perfect. And Sanctuary says, hide from the past, run from the future. Third book in Macy, and we introduced a different character. Macy became a secondary character in the third book. Danielle Montgomery. It says Macy McVannell is back in her most dangerous adventure yet. Danielle Montgomery has moved to the Willows, the home she grew up in. A woman on a mission, she enlists the aid of her college roommate, Macy McVannell, as she helps to free abused women from their abusers. She is also wondering if she can rekindle her relationship with builder Brad Stevens. Is what she's doing even legal? Can she protect those she helps to save? Their goal is to provide sanctuary for those in need, but can they protect them from the past they left behind? Okay, we have a new character. We have Annie Montgomery. And her on again, off again romance with Brad Stevens. Danny's a lawyer. So she's not just a woman on a mission. She has some legal background behind her. Whoops, we don't need this one. Okay. The next book is Escape. It is a spin-off from Sanctuary. Break the silence hidden behind closed doors. A Sanctuary short story featuring Macy McVannell. 15-year-old Grace Dutton has had anything but a normal life. Sexually abused by the man who is supposed to be her protector, she feels her younger sister will be the next victim. Macy McVannell and Danny Montgomery race to find the children protection and a hope for the future before it's too late. Can stolen childhoods and broken homes lead to a happy ending? This is a first edition. This is a Lilac Publishing. This was a first edition. Also a Lilac Publishing. Many of mine changed to Open Road at one point, and part of me is kind of sorry that it did. Rescue Mountain was written because I lived in South Carolina and somebody asked me, would I ever consider writing about South Carolina? Maybe I should be a little brighter. Sorry, brightness has been bothering my eye yet. And I just looked at how dark it was. Rescue Mountain. Was he her salvation or her captor? I placed this in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina, up near a town called Pickens, which really isn't that close to the mountains, but I did a little writing and wrote it closer to where I thought it should be. When Rusty Allen, an Iraqi war veteran suffering from PTSD, moves to the mountains to find peace and quiet, he becomes a suspect in a local kidnapping. Now, the police want to use Rusty's tracking skills to help find the missing girl. Is Rusty innocent? Or will this search and rescue mission be their last? Rusty Allen just fit the character. I didn't pick it for any particular reason, but it's a 4-part book, and the first part is called The Lost. This one is a first edition open window. I was going to show you that. There's The Lost, part 1. Is open window. So I have Lilac Publishing an open window here. I've already done this one. Don't need it. So the next one, I did a Christmas book. Santa is for real, but he doesn't always wear a red suit. Best friends Teddy Brinker and Tommy Huff. Oh, I have to fix something. Are at it again. Tommy wants to convince Teddy Santa is real, even if he doesn't always wear a red suit. He sets out to find ways to convince Teddy. Teddy goes along knowing he'll win this one. The boys build a wheelchair ramp for a student in their school so he can come home for Christmas. Both boys learn a big lesson when Brady makes it home on Christmas Eve. Okay. This book and the first story I wrote about Teddy and Tommy, which is in the back of the book, is in memory of John Brinker Huff. Teddy Brinker, Tommy Huff. Not answering that, just not letting it ring right now. That's where their names came from. I used John's last name. And I put them in a flash fiction piece called Finding Ghosts, which is like 4 pages. It's at the back of the book. This is the second book that Teddy and Tommy have been in. And both are dedicated to John. One is in a Halloween anthology, in Creeps the Night is the one on Finding Ghosts. This one is a standalone. It's meant for middle grades. You could read it to younger children, but I think at some point it would be the idea of somebody else besides Santa being Santa would be lost on them. This was an AAE, Author Academy Elite book. And I have another book by Author Academy Elite. This is the 4th and final Macy. Now, will she be around again? Oh, yes. This is just the last in the series at this point. She'll be around. As Macy helps plan weddings for her friends Sally Mae and Danny, she is faced with a hostage situation, a return to the issues of Chelsea Patton, whom we met back in Crossing the Line, a hit and run involving the governor's daughter and niece, and a break in and kidnapping. She and her partner, Tom Maxwell, must rescue three girls from being sold as sex slaves. Can Macy keep it together and plan the weddings? Is she prepared for Eli's surprise? And will she make it to the church on time? This is probably the longest. I'm not sure, it might not be. Macy book. Nah. It is 48 pages. The only other long Macy book is Sanctuary. I'm moving books out of the way here. And Sanctuary is 242. So yeah, it is the longest Macy book. Probably the longest book I've written. But names, where do names come from? You can use family names, but like I didn't, you might want to. So while we're talking about names, I put the writing prompt underneath, but I'm going to read it to you because it's by any other name. Talking to someone else, or are they calling you? Remember my name. Why are you going to remember my name? What on earth for? Use this bone to write my name. Okay, why are we using a bone? Write about your nickname. I'm sure you have one. I have several. Aside from Mom and Granny. But I'm either Beck or Becky. And then I have nicknames I won't tell you about. He or she called me. I'll leave that blank. I am also known as Mom, Granny, Becky, Beck, Becca, Lady Rebecca, Duchess, Duchess of Lilac, the Writer Whisperer. Yeah, I have many names. Write about name calling. How does name calling work? And why would you do it? Or would you do it? This is how he or she signed his or her name. What difference does it make? Does it make a difference? This is a name I'll never forget. I'm sure you all have a name you will never forget. And I'm sure you all have a reason why. And that's where I stopped. Because the rest are for tomorrow. Think about your characters. What are you going to name them? First and last name, please. I have a character. S.A. Worth. Her name is Samantha Worth. Does the A stand for Anne, Amelia, Arabelle, Abigail? I haven't decided yet. It's not important. She's a private detective. 9 out of 10 people who walk in wanting to hire S.A. Worth are looking for a man. Her receptionist partner calls her Sam. And not Samantha. So when Samantha walks out the door, and this guy's going, "Well, where's Sam?" And she says, "I'm Sam." Oh my goodness. Shock sets in. So think about the name you're giving your characters. I have a character. I have a character whose name is Twitter. Twitter has no last name because she's a fairy. How many fairies do you know who have last names in fairy tales? They call her Twit because that's what she is. She's a total twit. If it's going to go wrong, you can bet your bottom dollar Twit's part of the center of it. She's appeared in 2 stories so far. I I have been requested to write more stories about Twitter the fairy. It's on my list to do at some point. I'm not there yet. I know Teddy and are due for a new story. It's called Valentine's Yuck. Okay, really, they're 12-and-a-half-year-old boys. Are they into Valentines? Not really. The party, maybe, but giving Valentines? Nah, that's not their thing. And they know that. And their teacher's smart enough to know that. You need to have a name that matches your character. With Emily Meeks, I was in a restaurant having breakfast before a job interview. I'd been up really early and driven a long way to get to where I was interviewing. So it was breakfast time. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning, and my interview wasn't until 10. And I was watching this lady who's across the restaurant from me. And she's got these books, and she's in this light gray suit, and her hair is about this length. And it's going to gray, but it's not there yet. And surprise, surprise, she reminded me of a librarian. Now, a mother and son came in and talked to her. And I know by the ages, just looking at them, the salesperson, I don't know. And the mother and son left before I did. And the woman was again going through her books or catalogs or whatever they were when I left. And she was the basis. I wrote on the of my a name, an age, a birth date, an occupation, and I described this woman, and I gave her flaws and all this good stuff, but it was 3. It was the lucky number 3 times I started the book before I ever got the right beginning. Play around with some of these. If you have questions on writing, please put them in the comments. I'd truly like to answer them on air, as well as sending you something personal to help you on your way. Happy writing.